Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry, Instagram, and YouTube. Today is Monday, the 13th of October, 2014. This is episode 99, First School Holiday. Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me. We are in the midst of our first school holiday, and it is so weird. It has been a 4-day weekend, and oh my gosh, am I ready for Gabriel to go back to school. I miss the separation of the children. All morning they've been going at each other. So I'm starting to record this way later than I initially intended. They finally settled down though. I don't know, something about the mornings, and normally they're apart and then they were together, and now is about the time when they would be back together, so I guess they're settling. It's so weird. So weird that school would affect that. I'm currently having the season change ickiness go on all up in here. So, sorry. There will be a lot of editing for this show. Oh, but I do have something. Okay, so I'm not feeling 100% today. And Gabriel wanted me to play something that required jumping around, and I can't today. No, I can't do all that cardio. So I said, oh, honey, I'm sick. I can't today. And he was like, I will make you some tea. And he did. He got my cup that I almost always use for tea. And he came upstairs and asked me what time to put in the microwave because I don't have a kettle. And the microwave's just faster. So he put it in the microwave and got it out, and I'm not in love with the tea that he made me because it's his tea that we make him when he's not feeling well, so it's kind of a berry thing, but not in the way that I like berries. But he made me feel better tea, so I'm drinking it, and it's almost gone, and then I'm going to make some good tea. But how cute is that? Oh, he made me feel better tea. I love that so much. My heart grew 3 sizes. I have an announcement really quick before I get on with things. It's been a month-ish since the drawing for the Stuffies along, and I have not heard back from one of the prize winners, who is Philippa MC. She was post number 13. She did a Voodoo You Love Me. So Philippa, hugs from the US. I need Portugal to send me a PM letting me know that you've seen it so that I can hook you up with Lucas about those Amy eyes. And if I don't hear from you by the next time I record, so what's that, the 20th of October, then I'm going to draw someone else from the prize thread. But I know you watch, so I hope you're watching now. Finish or Frog It, that's the current knit along that we have going on. It started September 1st, finishes October 31st. So if this is the first time you're watching and you've finished anything in that time frame, go ahead and put it in. I'm totally cool with that. The rules are all posted in the thread, but basically, if you finish it between September 1st and October 31st, it's good. If you frog a project between that time period, also good. And if you finish something that was started before September 1st, you can put 2 pictures as long as you have a before September 1st progress shot and then a finished project shot. So the first post would be your before September 1st, and your second post would be your finished project. There's a tag for that. It's BPHFOF14. And my project that I'm working on for it, though I'm not working on it as diligently as I should be, is the Nightingale sock pattern by Vintage Pearls. And let's see, where's my stitch marker thingy? Here it is. Yeah, that's not a lot of progress. It's more than nothing, but not a lot more than nothing. I need to get working on that if I want it finished in time. Oh, and not lose a stitch. That was almost bad. The yarn that I'm using is Knit Picks Stroll Fingering in black and Local Dyer. Who is she? A Yarn Well Spun, I think, in A Wind in the Willows. I believe that's accurate. This project is hard, you guys. What was I thinking? I mean, it is a good project and I'm excited to be working on it, but it's hard having to look at a chart all the time. I don't know, I'm not used to that. I did my nails for you guys this morning, by the way. See, this is a little, it's not going to focus, I'm sure, but it's a little orange spider web thing. Maybe I can show you in the package. See the spiders? Anyway, it's from Avon, and someone came through my line at work a couple weeks ago, and she worked at the Avon, I don't know, the main office. So she had like 4 packs in her bag that she had just gotten, and I had been admiring her nails, and she was like, "Do you want one?" And I was like, "Oh." She was like, "No, really, just a gift sort of thing." And I was like, "Sure, that would be great." So I'm using one because I'm not a nail polish type person. I'm sure my nails will look horrible in like 3 minutes, but I thought it would be fun. And I'm using, for my other nails, I have this is my favorite nail polish right now. It's Bonbons, and it is just green. I don't know if it has a name. I'm sure it did at one point in time. I'm not going to look for it too hard, but it's just iridescent green. And I like it the best because I can put it on Mara and it doesn't look so awful when she starts immediately chipping it off. Anyway, back to knitting. I have so many finished objects. Okay, that's why my finisher frog didn't get a lot of love, because I was busy working on other things. And yeah, I have a lot of finished objects this week. First, I finished the plaid cowl, but I've already given it away, and I didn't think ahead and record a little segment like I've been doing recently. But I did take pictures. It is made out of Red Heart Super Saver in Hunter Green and Black, Caron 1 pound in white, Caron Simply Soft in a tan color. I'm pretty sure that's not the name, but I don't know where the tag is, and Gray Heather, and it was knit on US size 8, 5.0 millimeter. I really, really liked that project. And I wore it several times, the cowl, and now I kind of want one for myself. But you know how bad I am at making things for myself, so that probably won't happen. But maybe. I finished also the Hobbledehoy Merino Silk in Shadowwalled, and it is still quite damp because I finished it yesterday. I finished it 2 days ago, but I washed it yesterday, and it's been very rainy here. So it's still very damp, but this is what it looks like. I spun it fractally, and it's about 400, a little over 450 yards. I didn't love the brown color in here as I was spinning it into singles, but once I applied it up, and now that it's actually kind of a yarn, I really, really like it. So that's what it looks like. And that pink is just ties. Because what I do is I save the ties from yarn from Indie Dyers, whatever they tie the hank up with, and I keep it in my desk drawer. And then when I do hand spun, I pull out those ties and tie it around my hand spun. I know a lot of people use cotton for that, but I already have those ties, so I don't really want to buy cotton just to tie my yarn, and this works fine. The spin the spin was great. The fiber drafted so beautifully. It was really enjoyable. The colors are gorgeous. even when I was having color fatigue, which is where you're spinning and you get to a really long section of a color and you just want it to be over. But it's lovely, and hopefully Josh likes it. And if he doesn't, I like it. And I think it's really pretty. I mean, I'm just saying. It's a good color for me, right? It's good colors. So, just throwing that out there. I think I should just wear it like this today, all day. Except it's a little damp. If it wasn't damp, I would just wear it like this all day. I'm going to wear it like this for a little while. I also finished the capucine hat that I was making, which is free pattern. Oh, I think it's free. Or I got it from a download with a coupon. Should have checked. Sorry. It's Capucine by Adela e099, and I made it out of handspun. This is the Cloud Lover Superwash Merino, and Silk blend in the Blackberry Truffle colorway. Knitted on US size 7, 4.5, and this is what the hat looks like. Don't mind that, that's my hair clip. The hat is really, really cool. It has ribbing and then garter and then stockinette in the round. And the photo of the hat itself has a pom-pom on top, but I knit this out of handspun and I just cannot bring myself to cut up my handspun to make a pom-pom. I can't do it. I cut up the handspun a little bit to make these tassels and I was okay with that, but I just can't make a pom-pom out of my handspun. I think it's cute without. It'll be okay, right? I'm just talking myself into it being okay. I haven't woven in the ends on things except for the plaid cowl because I was giving that right away. So here is my last finished object. These are the socks for my nephew, so he can have even more magical lucky socks. They were knit on US size 1, 2.25 millimeter. The yarn is Premier Serenity Sock in the colorway Harlequin. And the stripes matching up was basically a happy accident. I pulled out very little from the center. I pulled out purple from the center of both and then started casting on at the next color change, which happened to be the same green, but it could have been a different progression because you see the purple, big purple goes into a little green here, but then little purple goes into big green here. So it could have been totally off on stripes and they just happened to match up. I got really great response, so I will be making this pattern recipe in the nearest future that I can. I probably won't use test knitters because I've used this recipe several times and I've posted it in a couple of forums and people have used it, so that's kind of like test knitters. And the recipe will be free. If I end up doing a chart with sizes, then I will make that paid, but not a lot. Not like an actual pattern fee, probably just a couple bucks because I'll be doing all the math. But that will be coming soon. And yeah, finished socks. My work in progress list this week is pretty short because I finished a lot of things. But I did work on the Pippin socks, which is a pattern by Claire Ellen. It is from the Fellowship of the Socks ebook, and it looks like this so far. I am knitting them on US 1 2.25 millimeter needles. This yarn is so fun. It is Spartacus Dyes Braver Man sock, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% silk in the colorway Cotton Candy. And there's all the information. It was part of the Spartacus Dyes Hippie Penguin Yarn Club for the carnival theme. And I think the color is just super, super fun. It's been a while since that yarn club came out, over a year, so it's probably not an exclusive club colorway now. I don't know if she would be willing to redo it, but if you think that this colorway is awesome, which it is, it's pink and blue and purple where they meet. Yeah, she would probably redye it. I really like this color. My other work in progress, last week I showed you the Chamomile Connection, what is this? Merino silk blend that I had spun. Well, I also, this past week, I spun the other ply, which is this light blue Polworth, and I started plying them because I got to that point. So this is going to be very bulky. That's what I'm going for, very bulky. And the merino silk is pretty consistent. The Polworth is not so consistent because I wasn't worried about it being very consistent. My end goal project will work very well with a not consistent yarn, so that's what I was going with. So it was a really quick and dirty spin. I don't know if you can tell. I'll pull this out. This Polworth that I spun, I think you can tell that it looks like a turtle from a Turkish spindle. I do not have a large Turkish spindle, but I do have DPNs and straight needles. So what I did was I set up the DPNs to make a cross with the straight needle in the middle, and I used it like a Turkish spindle. So I put this, I had this at the top, and then I had this part way down here at the bottom of my my straight needle, and used the half hitch like this to secure it. And that way I was able to have a Turkish spindle that would be large enough to accommodate, I don't know how much. I didn't weigh this. I didn't weigh the Polworth. Should have, didn't. And for the plying, I used the same setup, and I started doing a turtle, but that was mostly just to anchor the sides because I needed a spindle that was going to be very large for plying. I don't think that I have ever plied 8 ounces ish, or more than 4 ounces on my my plying spindle, which is on that top shelf above my finger. And also I was still using it to ply this, so I made myself another spindle so that I could just ply this and get going on it. So yeah, those are some spindle hacks in case you don't have a spindle but you really want to spin, or if you want to try a Turkish style, you can just make a Turkish style. My first Turkish spinning, I made my spindle out of 3 bamboo skewers. So it worked fine. My spinning, I mean, it wasn't the most beautiful spindle ever, but it worked like a spindle. That was all I really cared about. And those are my works in progress because I finished a lot of things. I worked on my sock yarn blanket a very little bit. So between last week and this week, I managed to finish 10 squares. And starting down here, the small squares are yarn from Diane. This is a mini skein from No Maker's Halloween set. This one is as well. And then I don't know what the other yarns are other than Lovely. And then this is the Premier Serenity sock in the Harlequin colorway. So I now have 2 large squares on the side of the blanket, and I took a picture of the blanket. On my bed, so you can see how close I am to finishing and how large it is. That's a queen size mattress. It hangs over either side, probably an entire small square on either side, and then it overhangs the top and the bottom by the large, or like a small square on the top and bottom, which is as big as I need it to be because I'm actually not going to be sharing this with Steve. This blanket is all for me because the way that our bed situation works is we have a communal blanket and then we have a just me blanket because I am smaller and get cold, and he insists on having the fan on all the time, even when I don't think it warrants having the fan on. So this is going to be a just for me blanket, and it is going to be the perfect size. But I'm very behind on this blanket. These are all the yarns that I have ready. Like, this is how many more squares I should have on the blanket. And this is yarn from projects that I've recently finished. I didn't realize I was knitting with so much green recently. I don't know how I didn't realize, but I didn't. Yeah, that's a lot of green going into the blanket. Hopefully in the next week, as well as, you know, some yarn from the ZK, because that way I can keep up with how many squares I'm supposed to have. So I'm a little behind. Still should be fine to finish it by the end of the year, as long as I pick up the pace and get working on it again. I'm so close. I don't understand why I'm like sputtering out. I don't know. I think I need someone to remind me to work on it occasionally, because I just put it aside for all of the holiday knitting. I'm doing the same thing that happened last year where I set it aside for holiday knitting, but I can't do that because I want it to be finished for me by the end of the year. I'm so bad at making things for myself. Because I'm like, but I could make things for other people. Speaking of, I have a lot of new yarn this week. I received a huge box in the mail, which was partially filled with birthday gifts for the kids, but also had a lot of yarn. My sister-in-law is pregnant and the baby is due on Valentine's Day. And she bought a bunch of yarn thinking she was going to make a bunch of things for the baby, but then she didn't take into account how tired being pregnant makes you. So she has not been working on things. A few things. Her mother has been there for, I don't know, 2 months now, just in general helping her get her house ready and making baby things, like sewing a bunch of baby quilts and diaper covers and all sorts of sewing things. So there's been a little bit of crafting for the baby. Well, a lot of crafting for the baby, but not a lot of knitting or crocheting except for a little football. Go get a popsicle. Sleep sack sort of thing with a matching hat. So she asked me if I would make stuff for the baby using the yarn that she bought, and I was like, of course, because I was going to make stuff for my new nephew anyway, but now I don't have to go out and purchase yarn for it. So awesome. Most of these skeins of yarn have multiples of them, but I'm just going to show you one because it's a lot. Except this one. No, except this one. This one only has one. It is the Barocco Remix, which is 30% nylon, 27% cotton, 24% acrylic, 10% silk, and 9% linen, and it's all recycled fiber. And this orangey color, it's pretty cool because I've been looking at the Barocco Remix and I've wanted to try it, but I haven't had a project in mind for it, and I don't have a project in mind for it now either. She sent several patterns that she was interested in, but she doesn't seem to have her heart set on any of them. It was just things that she was thinking about making, but for the most part, I can make whatever I want. There are a couple patterns that she put in here that I'm definitely making though. The next yarn is Plymouth yarn. It's called Oh My, and it's 100% nylon. And the pattern that she sent specifically with this is Plymouth Yarn Company cat hat with ear flaps. Look at how cute that is. Oh my gosh. So this will be that. And she sent a pattern for a baby's frog cocoon hat and booties. Picture looks, nope, it's upside down. Looks, it's not a great photo. It's not a great photo in person either. But it looks like that, and the yarn that she sent for that is Red Heart Soft yarn in guacamole, grass green, and off-white. So those will be an adorable sleeve sack. And then these yarns are all yarns that don't have anything planned for them. Bernat Softy Baby in Princess Pebbles. And these all have multiple skeins. Little Trees. Prince Pebbles. I won't be using the pink for this baby because, well, I don't feel that my sister-in-law would care so much about gender-specific colors. Her husband does. So the pink is just going into my baby blanket stash, and I will use it some other time. And then this is Lion Brand Baby Soft Yarn in Circus Print. I think this would be totally appropriate for a little boy, but pretty sure that my brother-in-law would not. And then I have a large, I think she sent like 6 or 8 skeins of this. It's I Love This Yarn Sport Weight in Naturals Multi. So I don't know what any of these yarns are going to become, probably blankets or sweaters. We'll see. I am not worrying about any of the baby knits until after I get through my holiday knitting, because I think I still have 18 people that I want to craft for, and only 3 of those are works in progress, and I'll be casting on a 4th today. So that's a lot of holiday crafting. A lot of those are socks, because I'm crazy. So yeah, baby knitting will have to wait until after I get through my list, which is quite extensive. But come January, expect to see a lot of baby crafting going on, because Valentine's Day is really shortly after the first of the year. And plus the baby could come early or whatever. I hope not. I hope it's a full-term healthy baby, but these things, they happen. This week I finished reading The Magician's Land by Lev Grossman. It was very good all the way up to the end. There were a few times where I had that moment. Have you ever had this moment where someone in the book, one of the characters, does something so irritating or nerve-wracking or just stupid sometimes that you scold them out loud? It happened a couple times while I was in public. Whatever, I don't care. I talk to my books. Not a lot, but sometimes you just need to say something. You need to have an interaction with the book, even though it can't respond. It can't interact. It responds in its own way, but you know what I mean. Or maybe you don't. Maybe I'm just a crazy person. Fine with that too. Very much enjoyed the trilogy. Highly recommend reading it if you like things like Chronicles of Narnia or Harry Potter. Anything like that where there's good world building, but it's not epic fantasy where it's an entire new world. It just contains a new world within the story, because it still takes place on Earth a lot, and modern Earth, not like anything crazy, but there's also another world. So something like that. Highly recommend it. It's very, very good. I also read Cinder by Marissa Meyer. Oh my gosh. It is so, so good. It's the first book of a series called The Lunar Chronicles. I have a lot to say about this book. Okay, so the premise is it is a young adult dystopian thing. Shocker. It takes place after the Fourth World War. There are now 6 major governments that rule or govern, rather, the entire planet. There's also a colony on the moon, and those people are called lunars, and they have an ability to manipulate electromagnetic fields. I believe it's electromagnetic fields around things to make people think things or see or like make illusions and stuff. Better explained in the book than I'm doing right now. And vehicle transportation is by hover vehicle. Gasoline cars are in museums. There are androids, and this is what I did not expect from the book, because I was just expecting, those sort of things, but not a really deep issue in the book, but there is. And the deep issue of the book is second-class citizenship, because there are people who are cyborgs. So if you get into an accident where something needs to be replaced, like if you lose a limb or part of a limb or anything like that, you get cybernetic parts and you become a cyborg. And cyborgs are second-class citizens. And it's played on a lot throughout the book about who gets to make decisions. They're kind of treated as property. It's very, very interesting. I didn't expect the ethics to be there in this book, and when I read it, I was pleasantly surprised. It made the book so much better than it could have been. Although I would have loved it anyway, because the series is based off of fairy tales to an extent. So Cinder's story, that's the main character, is like Cinderella a little bit. I mean, there are definite elements taken from that story. The next book in the series is called Scarlet. I haven't read it, so I don't know, but I can only imagine that it has something to do with the big bad wolf, because Little Red Riding Hood. I could be wrong. It could be a totally different fairy tale, but I'm pretty sure they're all going to be based off of a fairy tale in one way or another. I've already put the second book on hold at the library because it's so good that I'm ready to read the next one right now. But I'm not, because I don't have it. And what I am reading is City of Ashes, which I believe is by Cassandra Clare. It's the second book in the Mortal Instruments series, which I read the first one earlier this year, spring, summerish, I think. I'm enjoying it so far. I only just started reading it yesterday, though, so I don't have a lot to say about it. And then the last thing this week is that my podiversary is coming up. So next week, I will be talking about that more, well, at all, basically, because I'm not talking about it now. I'm just mentioning it. I'll talk about prizes and what you will need to do to enter for prizes, mostly because I haven't really thought about it, because I just realized that's almost my podiversary. I have 2 prizes in mind so far, one of which has been donated to me, which is super exciting, and I will share that with you next week. But yeah, so tune in next week to find out about the podiversary stuff. You Guys, it's been almost 2 years. That's awesome. I hope you made something fantastic with your sticks and string, and I will see you next week. Bye.